But we've started sort of spicing things up in the bedroom. There's different ways you can do this, as I'm sure you know. The first way you can do is you can have a shower. A nice couple lay at the front. Have you ever had a shower together? Oh, he thinks you might and she doesn't. Because the first thing I said to my fella, I said, you know what? He was going in the shower and I said, maybe I'd like some company. And he said, just give us 5 minutes till I've washed my arse. But whenever we have a shower, it always starts off really well, and then halfway through I realise this is just cleaning now, isn't it? There's nothing sexy going on anymore. It's when he says the words, arms up. But he is very thorough. Other things you can do, you can get dressed up as well. Got a nice couple in the middle here. Have you ever dressed up? Fella, have you ever dressed up like in an outfit? Or no, you haven't. How old are you guys?
38.
38. You see, because I used to a couple much older than you guys, so late 60s, early 70s. And you can always tell when a couple have been together too long. They had that sort of empty, sad, hollow expression. And what happens is, the way you can tell is when you ask them how long they've been together, and before they do a number, they always do a little horse impression. So you go, how long have you two been together? And they go, 30 years, 40 years, fuck knows. So I asked the old man, I said, have you ever dressed up like in an outfit or a uniform for sex? And he went, no. I looked at his good lady and I said, is there anything you'd like him to wear in bed? And she went, a shroud. But I also asked a young lad, much younger than you, sort of 16 or 17, I shouldn't have been talking to a 16-year-old boy about sex. But I just thought it would give us something to rub me button to later on. So everybody know, but people know what that is, don't they? Some people have different names for it. My friend said, what's rubbing your button? And I had to do a little action. And she said, oh, you mean checking your lettuce? Don't know what that is. But this young lad, 16-year-old, of course he'd never dressed up for sex. Just having sex is excellent. But I asked him if he was going to get dressed up, what would he dress up as? And he went, fireman, fireman. Oh, Spider-Man, Spider-Man. I thought we're not talking about sex anymore. It's just pyjamas. I was going to say that I've dressed up, but I haven't really. It's slightly different. I was once on top, and he tried to put a sock on one of my boobs. It's not the same thing, is it? No girl ever wants to hear that her boobs are lovely and long. And it stayed on as well, and I wasn't sure whether to be pleased or not. Other things you can do, you can use food. What about, fella on the end, what kind of food do you think you could use in sex?
Ice cream.
Ice cream's a good answer. What about nice fella in a nice checky shirt? What kind of food do you think? Chocolate. Chocolate? Somebody shout cucumber. Ice cream and chocolate, and what about nice fella here? What kind of food do you think to use in sex?
Absolutely no idea.
Absolutely no idea. Oh, look at his wife's face. To be honest, she looks quite happy, like they haven't even needed that. We haven't got to that stage that you're at with your boyfriend of 5 years. Fuck off. I like asking fellas, because fellas come up with a wide variety of interesting answers. I've stopped asking ladies, no offence to the ladies, but ladies always say chocolate. Chocolate sauce, chocolate cream, fuck it, I'll put a Twix up there, whatever. As long as I can have a chocolate bag afterwards. But I asked a man recently what kind of food he had used in sex, and he said noodles. And I've had a bloke say chips and a bloke say curry, and I think generally men are picking things they're probably going to have for their tea anyway. Just using their partners as plates. But I asked an old man, couldn't resist, an old man in his 80s, I said, what kind of food do you think would be good to use? And he said ice cream, and ice cream's a good sort of classic answer. But it wasn't so much the answer he gave as the noise that he made while he was thinking. Because he went like this. What was he thinking while he did that noise? What goes well with vagina? Ice cream. My favourite answer was a guy just said cream. He said cream, but he went like that, like squirty. And I thought, well, obviously, you're not just going to spoon it at her. Hope she catches it in all the right places. Then he went like this. He went, pack her full. Oh. I'm so glad that you're as horrified as I was. Pack her full. To be fair, he was a plasterer. Just smooth that over. Not get any more bother from that crack. But the last thing you can do is you can do dirty talk on you. We thought we'd give it a go. We'd never done it to previous partners. We thought we'd give it a go. And I said, well, I'll start off, because I'm, an independent woman. I didn't do that. That'd be a really weird way of starting off, wouldn't it? I'm ready. And I didn't know what you're supposed to say, and I just went, ooh, I've been a bad girl. I'm sorry about that. And he just went, apology accepted. But recently I've had a bit more practice and he started off and he went, you've been such a bad girl. But I think I'm going to have to punch you. He's gone too far there, hasn't he? But I misheard me and said punch, he said punish, which apparently entirely acceptable in terms of sexy lingo. But he hadn't really thought it through, because I said, what kind of punishment did you have in mind? He said, do the dishes!
Thanks for watching. You know what would be great is if you liked and subscribed. I'm so needy, I'm so sorry. And why not come and see me live? The tickets are available at sarahmillican.co.uk. Put the kettle on and settle in.